Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to break down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, September the 5th. We got two games. Once again, we got Toronto-Boston, Game 4 of their series, and then we got Denver and the Clippers, Game 2 of their series. We're going to break down these two games, go position by position, take a look at this slate on DK, talk about some guys I like on DK, looking at the slate on Friday night, giving you some early thoughts. We'll hit on some guys that I do like over on Yahoo as well. I will take a look at Yahoo's pricing. Just before we get started with the breakdown, as always, guys, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. I do appreciate all the likes. Make sure you subscribe as well. If you are new here, if this is your first time watching a video on my channel, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I do really appreciate it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I am uploading NBA videos every single day to this YouTube channel. I'll be uploading NFL videos, most likely starting next week. I'll be getting up NFL content. I'll have a video up for the showdown slate on Thursday night for Thursday Night Football. I'll have a video up for the main slate as well. I'll most likely have a video up for the Monday Night Football showdown slate. Gonna have a ton of NFL content coming out next week. You're definitely gonna want to be subscribed, so that way you don't miss any videos. Hit that notification bell. You will get a notification every time I upload, so you'll never miss out on any of my new videos if you do that. One last thing, if you really enjoy these videos, if you're someone that watches these videos regularly and you do want to get more content from me, I have stuff available on Patreon that is linked down below in the description. You can check out all that I have to offer over there. Get access to my articles that I post Monday through Friday on Patreon. Get access to my updated core plays that I post every single day. I'll have NFL content going up on Patreon as well, once NFL season starts next week. So be sure to check out the Patreon link down below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at Saturday's two games. We'll start off at the point guard position like we always do. So at the top here, we got Jamal Murray for 9,100. Jamal Murray, really disappointing in Game 1 of this series. Pretty much the whole Nuggets team was bad, besides Paul Millsap, which is kind of the crazy thing to say. Paul Millsap's he's just been god-awful. He was so bad in the Utah series, and he was the one bright spot in their Game 1 loss. They got blown out there. Millsap was really the only guy on the Nuggets, at least, out of their starters, that actually put up a good score for his salary. Murray was really disappointing in Game 1, especially for his salary. Just 26 Draftkings points in 33 minutes. Didn't take a ton of shots, just 15 shots. Shot 2 for 8 from the field. Didn't get a ton of peripherals either, just 3 rebounds and 6 assists. It was just not a good game for Jamal Murray. This is a really tough matchup for him against the Clippers. the Clippers have a really good defense. They have really good defenders like Patrick Beverley, like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. These guys can, give Jamal Murray some troubles. I'm not saying they're just going to lock Jamal Murray down. We're not going to see him continue to be as bad as he's been the last two games. But the 67, 70 Draftkings points that he was putting up, a lot during that Utah series, I don't know if we're going to see that consistently on a nightly basis. I wouldn't be surprised if Murray pops off, for one or two games here. But this should be a spot where he does struggle. This Clippers team can definitely give him troubles here. I don't think he's a stud that I really want to go out of my way to play today. I'd prefer some other guys. I know Jokic was terrible last game, but I still love Jokic once again. I like Kawhi Leonard as well. Jason Tatum, he struggled last game, but I like going back to Jason Tatum. So I think I do prefer those three guys over Jamal Murray. Plus, we have some of these mid-range options that I've been on, a ton recently. Kemba, Kyle Lowry, Van Vliet, these guys I've played a lot. I like them again, so I don't think I'm going to get to a ton of Jamal Murray today. Talking about Kemba, though, I do like Kemba once again. He was pretty solid last game. Hitman, Jaylen Brown both had good games, whereas Tatum kind of struggled. We got 39 minutes from Kemba. There's no minutes limit right now. He's playing close to 40 minutes a game. The restrictions are off for him. He's been great as well. 44 DK points last game. He's put up over 40 DK points in 4 of their last 5 games. He's just been really consistent. I know he did have that disappointing game in Game 2 of the Raptors series, but most games we should expect probably 40 to 45 DK points from Kemba. If he's going to be playing 38 to 40 minutes a night, which it looks like he's going to be. That was a really big win for the Raptors. They got a big win in Game 3, which is good. I think it helps, solidify big minutes for these guys now that the series is up 2-1, or now that the series is, the Celtics are only up 2-1. They can't really cruise now. If the Raptors win tonight, the series is tied. It's going to be anyone's game. I was definitely a bit worried if the Celtics would have won Game 3 and gone up 3-0. I mean, maybe they don't push Kemba as hard up 3-0. But now that it's 2-1, the Raptors could win here and then it'd be anybody's game. So we should expect big minutes for all the Celtics starters. Tatum, Kemba, Brown, Tatum, Kemba, and Brown. Those three guys should all play about 40 minutes today. I definitely like Kemba 8K on DraftKings. Even with the price coming up, I still think he's a really good option. Yahoo, that's where he really stands out. He is cheaper than Kyle Lowry over on Yahoo. He's $29, $3 less than Lowry. I definitely like Kemba once again on Yahoo. I've been playing him a lot over there just because I feel like he's been too cheap every slate. And once again, I think Kemba's too cheap on Yahoo. So definitely like him there. Like him on DraftKings as well. But I think Yahoo's where he looks most appealing. And then you got the two Raptors guys. Kyle Lowry for 7,800 and Fred VanVleet for 7,700. So Lowry is coming off the better game. Lowry was really good last game, had 54 DraftKings points in 46 minutes. He nearly played the whole game, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it's not surprising to see Lowry play that many minutes. If the Raptors can get a win here, which would be huge for this series, it's going to be anyone's game if they are able to tie this series tonight. We should expect huge minutes for all the Raptors starters. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Lowry plays 44, 45 minutes again. I don't know if he's going to be as productive as he was last game. I mean, Lowry is a guy that averages over a fantasy point per minute. If he plays 40, 42 minutes, it's very likely he's able to pay off the salary. I think his ownership might be a bit inflated, though, today because he is coming off a big game. So I like pivoting to Fred VanVleet. I was on VanVleet last game. I was much higher on VanVleet last game over Lowry, and it came back to bite me. But this is a slate where I think we're going to see VanVleet's ownership drop and we're going to see Lowry's ownership rise, which makes me like VanVleet a lot. We're going to get 40, 42 minutes from VanVleet as well. He didn't play 46 minutes like Lowry did, but it looks like he did have 5,000 in those 41 minutes, so there's a chance he could have had his minutes somewhat limited due to foul trouble. I mean, they'll let VanVleet go out there and play 45, 46 minutes as well. Nick Nurse runs an incredibly tight rotation. He only plays about 2 or 3 guys off the bench. He gives all of his starters huge minutes. Besides Marc Gasol, all the starters are going to play huge minutes. I really like VanVleet. This is still a guy that averages over a fantasy point per minute as well. A pretty high usage player, a guy that can contribute in all categories, can score, can get rebounds, can get assists, can get you steals as well. If a lot of people are going to flock to Lowry, which I'm not saying Lowry's a bad play today, but if Lowry's going to be 20, 30% more owned than VanVleet, which I think is a possibility, I really like VanVleet for the ownership difference. I'm going to have exposure to both guys because, it's a 2-game slate. I'm not going to just full fade Kyle Lowry, but I do expect to have more exposure to VanVleet over Lowry, just, looking at the slate as a whole. I do like VanVleet over on Yahoo as well. You look at Yahoo's pricing. He's coming in at shooting guard. He's $1 less than Paul George. He's $5 more than Jaylen Brown. We're going to talk about Jaylen Brown on Yahoo. I think he looks really good at his price. On Yahoo, VanVleet and Lowry are the same price tag. And, like I said, I think I prefer Kemba over Lowry at point guard. So, VanVleet's going to be a guy that I look to get in at shooting guard over on Yahoo. We know Lowry has upside, but VanVleet's also a guy that can go out there and put up, 50, 55 DK points. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the scoring reverse for this game and you see VanVleet put up a 50-point game and maybe Lowry only gets 35, 40. Both these guys could go for big games. They both have plenty of upside. I wouldn't mind playing them in the same lineup if that's something you want to do. I have no problems with that at all. That's really where I'm looking to go, at guard today. Lowry, Walker, VanVleet, those are the guys I like most. I think Marcus Smart's also viable. His price is coming up on DraftKings. He's up to $6,500, but he's also going to play big minutes. Expect 38 to 40 minutes from Marcus Smart. Not nearly as productive of a player as, the guys we talked about. So that's why I do prefer them. If I was going to play Marcus Smart, it would probably be on Yahoo, where you really only have a few playable options at shooting guard. You're either playing PG, VanVleet, Brown, or Smart. You could maybe play Gary Harris. He's not the worst play. He's $10 on Yahoo. He's definitely in play as a value. But I do expect a lot of my shooting guard exposure to go to these 4 guys. And Marcus Smart, $19 on Yahoo. Pretty nice price tag. Definitely playable over there. On DraftKings, I doubt I really get to him. Lou Will, I doubt I really go there either at 6K. Got 24 minutes last game in a blowout, just 20 DK points. His minutes have been so up in the air. Some games he'll get 32, 34 minutes off the bench. Some games he might only play 22, 24 minutes. We just don't really know. I'd rather get to Smart. That Smart's not nearly as productive of a player as Lou Will, but Smart's probably going to play, 10, 12 more minutes than Lou Will does. So for that reason, I'd prefer Smart in the mid-range. Value-wise, though, if there's one value play I would consider, it would be Patrick Beverley. He was solid last game. He only played 12 minutes, but he was really productive in those 12 minutes with 19 DraftKings points. They've already come out and said that they're going to limit his minutes again. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he plays 15 minutes today, if he plays 20 minutes, if he plays 12 minutes again. I would assume the reason he only played 12 minutes was, the blowout. They really didn't need to run Beverley out there. My best guess is he probably gets about 20 minutes a day if I had to guess. If this is a close game, I think you do see about 20 minutes for Patrick Beverley. At 3,600, he's not the worst value play. We don't have a ton of value to begin with on these playoff slates. It's always tough to find value on these slates. So if you're trying to pay for multiple studs, Beverley is someone I would consider as a value play, just 3,600 on DK. But let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. So you got PG here for 8,200. I don't have a ton of interest in PG. I think there's just other guys I'd rather get to. I'd rather play Van Vliet. I'd rather play Lowry. I'd rather play Kemba. Those are guys I do like more for less salary than PG. Also, I do prefer Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's someone I like quite a bit today. 7,600 on DraftKings. Is coming off a solid game. Last game, he played 40 minutes, had 44 DK points. Doubled with 19 points and 12 rebounds. Also got 2 assists and 4 blocks. This is the kind of upside that Jaylen Brown has. When he's playing 40 minutes a game, he easily can get you 40-plus DraftKings points. He's a fantasy point-per-minute player. No Gordon Hayward is a little bit of a bump up for Jaylen Brown. We know where the offensive production is coming from in Boston, and it's from Brown, Kemba, and Tatum, those 3 guys. That's where all the offensive production is mainly going to come from. So I do like Jaylen Brown. On DraftKings, where he's closely priced to Van Vliet and Kemba and Lowry, I think I would give the edge to those guys. But, we're talking about Yahoo pricing. You actually have Brown coming in at a pretty big discount compared to Van Vliet and Lowry. He's $5 less than Van Vliet, $5 less than Lowry. He's $2 less than Kemba. I do like Jaylen Brown quite a bit on Yahoo at $27. Him and Van Vliet, I think, are easily my 2 favorite shooting guards on Yahoo. Those are the guys I expect to get a large majority of my exposure, or I expect a large majority of my exposure to go to those 2 guys. I will have some Marcus Smart as well. I don't expect to be playing too much PG on Yahoo. I just rather would play Van Vliet. I'd rather play Jaylen Brown. And I'll have some Gary Harris at $10. I think Gary Harris, definitely viable. We'll talk more about him in a second. But I do like Jaylen Brown a lot, preferably on Yahoo, but on DraftKings, he's fine as well. We talked about Marcus Smart. So Gary Harris is someone I want to mention. He did move into the starting lineup last game. Only played 24 minutes, but that was mainly due to the blowout. I don't think any of the Nuggets starters played in the fourth quarter. Gary Harris did get off to a really hot start. He had 10 DraftKings points in the first 8 minutes and then just didn't do anything after that. Gary Harris is not a relatively productive player on a point-per-minute basis. He's just not the same player that he used to be. He used to be a guy that could go out there and get you, 25, 30 DK points almost every night. I remember a couple years ago, Harris would be about 6K, 5K, every night, and he was just consistently giving you around 30 DK points. He's not producing at the same level that he did back then. He still can give you about 0.8, 0.85 fantasy points per minute. I assume if the game's close, we probably get about 30, 32 minutes from Gary Harris. He's 4K. He's minimum salary on Yahoo. He is definitely in play as a value option. I don't mind going to him if you're looking for a cheap play. Him and Patrick Beverley are 2 guard values that I do like today, that I do plan on having some exposure to. But other than those 2 guys, I think that's it for guard value. Torrey Craig, maybe you could look to. He played 22 minutes last game. I said this in the last video. I think Torrey Craig is probably going to be needed in the series. Gary Harris is someone that can defend pretty well. Torrey Harris can also defend pretty well. So you expect those 2 guys to get a lot of run because they're going to be needed defensively against Paul George and against Kawhi Leonard. I would assume, if this game stays close, we probably get 30 minutes from Torrey Craig, even though he comes off the bench. I think he could be used a lot in this series to guard to Kawhi and to guard PG. So he's viable. I'd rather play Gary Harris because I just feel like Harris probably gets more minutes. But for 3,600, Craig's not the worst value. You could also go to Beverley as well at the same price tag. So Harris, Craig, Beverley, if I'm going cheap at guard, those are the 3 guys I think I like the most. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to small forward. So at the top here, we got Kawhi for 10,400. Kawhi definitely in play on this slate. He is the most expensive player, so if you want to get to him, you're going to have to go cheap at some positions. But Kawhi's just been so good in the playoffs. I know he was disappointing last game, but that was mainly due to the blowout. He only played 32 minutes. didn't get any fourth quarter run. If he would have played in the fourth quarter, he would have probably played about 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, which would have put him in about 40 minutes for the game. Kawhi is playing 38 to 40 minutes in playoff games. He's getting huge minutes. He's incredibly productive. He's a guy that's going to give you probably about 1.4 fantasy points per minute in the playoffs, maybe even, better than that. He might even produce at a better rate than that. Just been so consistent, so productive. I know he's expensive, but I definitely like Kawhi on the slate. I think I do prefer Jokic given the savings, and especially maybe due to the ownership difference, because I think Jokic should be somewhat low owned on this slate. He was only like 25% owned on Yahoo last slate. There's a chance he comes in even lower owned today. So I like Jokic a lot for cheaper, but Kawhi is probably my second favorite stud behind Jokic. Tatum I do have interest in as well. Tatum's also coming off a disappointing game, so maybe that will also lower his ownership. But we know the kind of upside Jason Tatum has. I mean, this guy can consistently give you 50 to 60 DK points. He's going to be playing 40 to 42 minutes if it's a close game. He still has upside to pay off a $9,300 salary. If you build out your lineup and you try and get Kawhi in there and you just can't make it work, I have no problems dropping down to Jason Tatum for a little bit cheaper. Tatum could easily, put up a similar score to Kawhi, potentially even outscore him, and I wouldn't really be surprised. So yeah, I really like those two guys. Those are probably my two second favorite studs behind Jokic. Like I said, I don't have a ton of interest in PG. I do like Jaylen Brown. OG Anunoby is someone that I've kind of been off, the last few slates. I didn't play a ton of him, last slate. I think he was like 30% owned, and I only had like 15%. I was really like underweight on him. I'm probably going to be underweight on him again. $5,600 for OG Anunoby just feels like an expensive price tag. Like, this is not a productive player. I know he's been productive the last two games, but on the season, OG only averages like 0.8 fantasy points per minute. I know he's going to play huge minutes, so that is one, positive for OG. He's going to be out there for close to 40 minutes if it's a close game. I just don't know if we can expect him to consistently put up, over 30 Draftkings points. He's just not that kind of player. Normally, OG's giving you 25, maybe 30 DK points if he has a good game. I mean, he's up to 5,600, so you kind of need like a 35, close to 40-point game for him to be a guy like you really have to have at this salary. I think I'd rather go to other guys. Maybe that's a bad take by me, but at 5,600, OG Anunoby, if he's going to be really popular, that's a guy that I'll just get away from at that price. Like, I would much rather play Marcus Morris for cheaper. Marcus Morris is going to get, not as many minutes as OG, but should still play probably 32 to 34 minutes if it's a close game. He did play 27 minutes in the blowout win. I'm pretty sure he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. So if he would have got his normal fourth quarter run, he probably would have ended with like 34, 35 minutes. He was very productive last game in those 27 minutes. Did put up 33 DK points, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. I really like Marcus Morris at 5,400. He's going to get, like I said, 35, 36 minutes. He's not going to, produce at a great rate playing alongside Kawhi and PG. But this is still a guy that can knock down threes, can grab rebounds, can get defensive stats. I would rather play him over OG. Maybe that's a hot take again, but if Morris is going to come in lower owned, like, give me Marcus Morris all day over OG. OG is just not that productive of a player. If he continues to go out there and put up 35, 40 DK points a night, then I'll just be wrong and I'll just lose money. But I'm willing to bet that OG comes back down to earth eventually. It probably is going to be this game. Most games, you're only going to get 25, 30 DK points at the most from OG Anunoby. So, yeah, I'd rather go to Marcus Morris. Michael Porter Jr., not really on him. His minutes are just so up in the air right now. Jeremy Grant, someone I do like a lot. I was pretty heavy on him last slate, and we kind of ran bad. He was crushing at halftime. He had like 17 or 18 fantasy points at halftime, and then only finished with 19 DK points. Didn't play a ton in the second half. I believe he played his normal rotation in the third quarter and then didn't step on the floor at all after that. Didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. Normally we're going to get like 36 to 38 minutes from Jeremy Grant. Only played 26 minutes last game due to the blowout. I think this is a series where Jeremy Grant can have some, can be productive. He can produce at a pretty solid rate. He wasn't very productive in the Utah series, even when getting big minutes. But he was pretty productive last game, even in limited minutes. He's still only 4,900 on Draftkings. I expect we get close to 40 minutes from Grant today, as long as the Nuggets can keep it close. He's a value play that I do like. I was on him last slate. I'm going to be right back on him today. I think he looks really good over on Yahoo as well. The power forward position on Yahoo is pretty bad. You really only have 3 or maybe 4 playable options. At this position, you're either playing Siakam, Marcus Morris, Jeremy Grant, or maybe Paul Millsap. So definitely like me some Jeremy Grant on Yahoo as well. I think Marcus Morris for $20 also looks very good, but I'll just go ahead and plug in Grant since he is a little bit cheaper. I think both guys, are really solid plays though. So I think we covered everything at small forward. Let's see. I think we broke it all down. Norman Powell, minutes have just been so up in the air. I mean, he's really cheap, but who knows how many minutes we get from Powell here. Only played 15 last game, just 13 the game before that. Tough to trust even at 4,200. I'd rather get up to Grant if I can. So yeah, I think we covered small forward. Let's go ahead and hit on power forward now. So here you do have Siakam for 7,900. Siakam's just been a guy that, I've played a good amount of him, especially on Yahoo because power forward's so bad. You really only have 4 options here. Siakam, I think I had like 40% of him last slate. I'll probably have about the same amount this slate. I don't love him overall compared to some of the other guys. I'd rather play, like if you look at other players in the 7K range, I'd rather play all the guards that we talked about. Van Vliet, Lowry, Kemba, even Jaylen Brown. I'd rather play those guys over Siakam. But like I said, on Yahoo, you only have 4 playable power forwards. Siakam's $33. If I have the salary, I'm going to play Siakam in a good amount of Yahoo lineups just because the position's so bad. I don't love him overall on this slate compared to some of the other guys, though. So just mainly a Yahoo play with how their positions shake out. Other power forwards, though, OG we talked about. I'll probably be underweight on him once again. Daniel Tice I do like quite a bit. His price is still up there on DraftKings. He's $5,500, but he's getting good minutes right now. 30 minutes last game, 30 minutes the game before that. It seems likely that he's going to play about 30 minutes a night in this series as long as the game stays close. Tice's production, he is a guy that produces about a fantasy point per minute, close to that. The production's been a little bit down last 2 games, only 25 and 22 DK points in 30 minutes. I still think he's viable on DraftKings at $5,500, especially because, he has power forward eligibility, which is really nice. On Yahoo, though, I think that's where Tice really looks good. He's still just $15 over there. He's coming in cheaper than both Zubac and Harrell, so definitely give me Daniel Tice on Yahoo, at that $15 salary. I like him on DK as well, but 15 on Yahoo, even if he gets you like 25 fantasy points, he's really not killing you at that price. And if he gets like 30, 35, he's probably going to be a guy that you kind of have to have at that salary. So definitely like Tice on Yahoo. He's fine on DraftKings as well, but I'd rather go to him at that Yahoo price. So Paul Millsap is coming off a big game. He was one of the few guys that actually did well for Denver last game. Put up 33 DraftKings points in 24 minutes. Paul Millsap was god-awful in the Utah series. Maybe with this matchup against the Clippers, maybe he can perform better in this matchup than he did against Utah. I guess he could technically be used defensively like against Kawhi and against PG. Millsap, I guess he could defend those guys. I have no idea if we get, I would assume, Millsap was probably on pace to play about 30 minutes last game had the game stayed close. I have no idea if we get that many minutes from Millsap today. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there and plays 32 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 15 minutes. We just don't really know here. If you want to take a shot on him, I don't mind it. I'll probably have some exposure to him on Yahoo just because he's at power forward. You only have 4 options here. Millsap's going to find his way into some of my Yahoo lineups at $12. I don't feel great about it because I feel like every time I play this dude, he just goes out there and does nothing. But he's cheap. He saw minutes last game. He's a guy that can be productive when he gets minutes, so I don't mind him as a value play, more on Yahoo than DK. On DK, I think I'd rather try and get up to Grant for a couple hundred more. Yahoo, probably would try and get up to Grant as well, but $12, pretty cheap price tag for Millsap at a very weak power forward position. So yeah, we talked about power forward. Let's hit on center just real quick before we do end the video. So at the top here, we got Jokic for $9,500. Once again, I really like Jokic on this slate. He burned me last slate. Pretty much everybody from Denver did. Everybody from Denver was terrible, like I said, just besides Millsap. They all played limited minutes because of the blowout. Jokic only played 30 minutes. Wasn't very productive with just 22 DraftKings points. But I said it in the last video, and I'm going to say it again. I think this is an incredible matchup for Jokic. He should just be absolutely be able to have his way here against Zubac and against Harrell. He can feast against those guys. Zubac is too slow to guard Jokic. Harrell is too small to guard Jokic. He's had some really big games. During the regular season, he did really well against the Clippers. It was a limited sample. The average looks bad because of that bad game last time, but these teams did play during the bubble, during the regular season, and in 28 minutes, in only 28 minutes, Jokic did have 46 DraftKings points against LA. I think there's a lot of upside for Jokic here. We just need the game to stay close. That's really all it is. If it stays close, Jokic is probably going to play close to 40 minutes. He has a ton of upside for this price. I mean, we know the kind of upside Jokic has. He can go out there and triple-double, can get you 65, 70 DraftKings points, can easily outscore Kawhi at a cheaper price tag. And I think with him disappointing last game, that should keep his ownership low, should lower it off of what it was last slate. So sign me up for Jokic once again. He's definitely one of my favorite pay-up options on this slate. I really like him on Yahoo as well. If you want to get to Jokic, he's $41 over there. His price tag did come down a little bit. I think Jokic also looks very appealing on Yahoo. But then you got Serge Ibaka for $5,900. I haven't been playing Ibaka much. Just not really a guy I ever feel like I have to have. You can go out, or Ibaka can go out there and, spark some big games, can get you 35, 40 DK points. He doesn't play a ton of minutes, though. Coming off the bench, he's only going to see about mid-20s in minutes, about 25, 26 minutes. I think I'd rather just, if I'm going to play, or the way I look at center today, I'm either going to pay up for Jokic, or I'm going to go to some of these cheap guys like Daniel Tice, especially like on Yahoo. I mean, Ibaka is $23 on Yahoo, whereas Tice is $15. So just give me Tice for $8 less than Ibaka. Even Zubac, I think, looks really good. Zubac's someone that also kind of burned me last slate, but I like him once again here. He played 24 minutes last game, didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. He was on pace to play about 32 minutes had the game stayed close and he play in the fourth quarter. I think we get 30 to 32 minutes from Zubac today as long as the game does stay close, and he's still really cheap on DraftKings at $4,800. This is a guy that can give you about a fantasy point per minute. He can go out there and double-double in 30 minutes, can score and can rebound, can block a few shots as well. I think there's plenty of upside for Zubac at this price. They're going to need his size against Jokic. He's their best match at slowing down Jokic. I don't think Harrell's going to do a very good job against Jokic, so Zubac's their best bet there. I expect 30 to 32 minutes from him as long as the game is close. And at $4,800, he looks like a really good value play once again on DraftKings. And if you want to play him on Yahoo, I think I would rather go to Tice for $2 less, but Zubac is definitely in play at $17 on Yahoo as well. But then lastly, Marc Gasol, not the worst value play, $4,500. Got up to 26 minutes last game. We still haven't really gotten any good games from him, but if he's going to get mid-20s in minutes, I mean, you could randomly catch a decent game from Gasol and he goes out there and scores maybe 30 DK points. He is minimum salary on Yahoo. He's coming in at $10 over there. So if you want to play Gasol at $10 on Yahoo, I don't mind that. A lot of my center exposure is going to go to Zubac and to Jokic and to Tice. But Gasol, I'll have a little bit of exposure to him, especially on Yahoo where he's minimum salary. Robert Williams is cheap, going to get about 18 to 20 minutes off the bench. Robert Williams is a really productive player when he gets minutes. He could go out there and give you 25 DK points in 18 minutes, so he's not the worst value at $3,800. Montrezl Harrell, I don't really want to go to. Got a lot of garbage time run last game. Still only played 19 minutes, though. I don't think Harrell's going to get a ton of minutes in this series, especially in close games. I think we're going to see Zubac out there guarding Jokic in close games. So I don't really like Harrell at $4,300. I'd rather go to Zubac if I can get up to him. So yeah, I think we covered everything for center, guys. I think we broke down this position. I think we broke it all down for this 2-game slate. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button before we get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. Uploading NBA videos every single day right now. Gonna get NFL content up starting next week as well. So definitely, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Don't want you to miss any of my new videos. Also, if you want to get more content from me, I do have stuff available on Patreon that is linked down below in the description. You can definitely check out the Patreon link down below and see all that I have to offer over there. But yeah, guys, I think we broke it all down. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do appreciate you watching. We will see you in the next one. Peace.